This is the Louie T Network.
Who else could it be? Me, your man, Louie T. Welcome to Lockdown Coverage Week number 12, the National Football League. New Orleans Saints on the road taking on the Los Angeles Rams. Big game in the NFC. Rams come into this game riding an 8-game winning streak, second best in the league, only behind the absolutely red-hot Philadelphia Eagles. 8-2, taking on the 7-3 Rams. Remember, the Rams themselves were playing hot football until they lost last week at Minnesota. So they're looking for a bounce-back game. Like I mentioned a couple of weeks ago, all of the top teams in the NFC going to start facing off against one another. So we're going to start to see who can separate themselves from the pack. And thus far, it's went exactly as we've all expected. The home teams have won in these games against these teams at the top of this conference, and this game continued in that fashion as the Rams were able to get it done against a Rams team that came, or excuse me, against a Saints team that came into this game short-handed on the defensive side of the football. No excuses here from the Saints. They had opportunities in this game, and the Rams were able to make the plays that were the difference in this football game, as we'll get to the breakdown of this game here in a second. But if you haven't already done so, subscribe to the Louie T Network for more great content in 2017 and beyond. We're changing the game over here. I want you to help us do that by simply hitting that subscribe button and becoming a member of the Louie T Network. There are a number of different ways that you can stay in tune. I took a bye week last week. For some of you, you were oblivious to the fact that I was taking a bye week. You know why you didn't know? Because you weren't in tune to this channel and all of my different social media platforms. There's Twitter, there's Instagram, there's Facebook, there's YouTube. Turn on the notifications. Had you turned on your notifications, had you been following me on Twitter or Instagram, you would have known I was on a bye week. So it is of the utmost importance that you follow me on social media and you turn on those notifications. All of the links to my different social media platforms down in the description below this video. Also down in the description of this and every single video I do in the description portion of the video is how you can donate to this channel. As you see before you, there are two links. One for Patreon, the other for PayPal. Both are valid. If you want to donate to this channel, those are the ways that you can do so. If you donate through Patreon, there are some extra perks that you will receive. That is also in the description. There is a link to a video that will describe everything for you there as well. So if you can donate, please do. The links are down in the description. That being said, let's jump into the breakdown of this game. We're going to start with the winning team because that's what we do. We worry about the winners and let the losers worry about losing. So we'll talk about the Rams and their ability to go to 8-3 on the season with a 26-20 win over the Saints. This was a really good game for Jared Goff as he continues his ascension as a young quarterback in this league under the tutelage of a guy that you know that I think very highly of. I've spoken great things about. I continue to sing his praises, and I will continue to sing them. And I don't really have to say anything else now because he's already validated everything that I've said about him in the offseason, everything that I told Rams fans they were going to get from him. He's already done that in just 12 weeks of football. Sean McVay has turned this Rams organization around and giving them their first non-losing season since 2006. And we still have 5 weeks of football left to play at 8-3. So Sean McVay has come in. Jared Goff looks like a totally different quarterback. And yes, it's because of Sean McVay. It's because of this offense. It's because he's now comfortable under a guy that understands how to play the quarterback position at a high level in this league, who can draw up plays, that gets guys open. There's enough talent around to spread the football around to. I thought Todd Gurley was outstanding in this game, not just from the running back position as a runner, but also as a pass catcher. There's a sequence, and it doesn't show up in the stat sheet. The Rams didn't score in that possession, but you're backed up down deep in your own territory. Goff drops back in his own end zone, dumps it down to Todd Gurley underneath, and what does he do? Break a couple of tackles and runs for about 20 yards and a first down. And no, that doesn't result in points on that position. But what it does is it helps flip the field position and gives this defense an opportunity to defend more football field in hopes of not allowing the Rams or the Saints to score points. And again, those are the little nuances, the little subtleties of a game that sometimes go unnoticed but are huge plays in games. Gurley, I thought, was outstanding in this game. I thought that Goff had another monster game, another 300-yard performance. You're seeing all the weapons start to come to fruition. No Robert Woods. That was a question coming into this game. So I know a lot of people are going to make a lot about the injuries that the Saints had coming into this game. The Rams had injuries, one being Robert Woods, one of the guys that has been the most productive for them at the receiver position. So now you needed other guys to step up. Samuel Watkins stepped up. Cooper Kupp stepped up. Gerald Everett stepped up. And look, we saw unsung heroes step up and make plays in this game. And so you're looking around. Matthews with a touchdown grab, number 83. I think his name is Matthews. Don't quote me on that. But number 83 coming out of nowhere making plays. And so if Goff didn't underthrow him on a deep ball on a 4th down, that's another touchdown for this guy coming out of nowhere. So guys stepped up. And that's what you're going to need when someone goes down. And that's the difference between this Rams team and past year's teams. They didn't have enough talent. If someone went down, they were screwed. Now they've got enough talent that where someone goes down on the offensive side of the football, there's enough skill guys to step up and fill the void left by a guy like Robert Woods, who has been huge for this offense this season. So I thought Goff was hit a little bit more today than he has been for the most part this season. Now, he got harassed last week against Minnesota, and he got harassed again. Cam Jordan with a couple of sacks in the backfield considerably in this game. But for the most part, he was able to work under duress, and I think that's the biggest difference I've seen out of Jared Goff. Not the accuracy when he's got time, because if you are an NFL quarterback, you should be able to deliver the football with time. The difference in this league is, what do you do under duress? Okay? Anybody that considers themselves an NFL quarterback should be able to. Now, again, we take that for granted sometimes, and accuracy is huge in this league because that's the difference between a 25-yard gain and a 55-yard gain and a touchdown, is where you put that football. Is that receiver allowed to catch and run and catch it in stride and not have to turn, contort his body, and lose the momentum going towards the end zone? There's little subtleties like that when you're talking about accuracy at the quarterback position. But what separates quarterbacks in this league, I've talked about it a number of times, is the deep ball. You can't miss that when you get opportunities. And another thing is, what do you do when you're under duress? You're going to be pressured at least 5 or 6 different times in the course of a game. How do you handle that? Guys are going to be open. There are going to be opportunities for throws to be made. What do you do when those situations present themselves? I thought he handled himself well in this game because, like I said, he was under duress quite a bit in this game. I thought he bought time. I thought he moved. And I think Goff is a lot more mobile than we give him credit for. I know I didn't think he was that athletic and mobile coming out of Cal. He's shown me a lot in the bootleg game, a huge staple of what they do in Los Angeles, and that's a byproduct of McVay and company. Is they do a lot of bootlegs, a lot of play action fake, a lot of getting the quarterback out on the move and outside of the pocket, and your ability to throw on the move and your ability to buy time is crucial. And that touchdown to, and I say again, don't kill me if his name isn't Matthews, but number 83 for the Rams. Haven't seen much of him, so you can't kill me for not knowing this dude. Back of the end zone, 3-man rush. What does Goff do? He stays in the pocket. Okay, you're going to rush 3. I'm going to hang in here, wait for somebody to come open. A beautiful throw back of the end zone. There were times where he had to buy time, hold on, wait for somebody to come open. He did. And when those opportunities came available, he did not miss in this game. I thought Jared Goff was outstanding. And they were able to get it done on the offensive side of the football. When they had to have it, they got it done. Defensively, same thing in this game. They gave him some big plays. There's no doubting that. Alvin Kamara was outstanding. All right, we'll talk about him when we get to the Saints side of things. But outside of the big plays by Kamara in this game, I thought this defense, for the most part, did a good job of holding down Drew Brees in that passing attack. And you know the Saints have had this two-headed monster in the backfield. Well, they had none of it in this game. Ingram never got it going in this game. It was just the Kamara show. And so while you hate to allow one guy to kill you the way Kamara did in this game, you say, look, they're both not going to get off, which is what they've been doing this season, and that's why the Saints have had so much success, is because Ingram and Kamara have both been getting off, and then you sprinkle in a little bit of Drew Brees, and all of a sudden now you've given up 31 points, and the Saints got you. Well, they took away Ingram in the backfield. Kamara did most of the damage, and they also took away Drew Brees in this game, and that was the difference. Only 20 points surrendered to a Saints offense that had been high-powered of late, scoring a ton of points, moving the football, matriculating the football down the field, creating a lot of offense. And even when they don't score, creating short fields for their defenses, setting up some game-changing opportunities for the defensive unit. They weren't able to do that in this game, and that's a credit to this Rams defense that was able to get after Drew Brees, make him uncomfortable, force them into some tough situations, some third and longs, a lot of third and longs, either via penalties or good Ram defense on first down. Some sacks of Brees, putting them in some tough spots. I thought that this defense stepped up, made some plays when they had to make them. And hats off to Wade Phillips and his group because, again, a transformation has been made because this Rams defense once was one of the best in the league. I thought the last couple of years they took a downward turn, and they were going more off of reputation than actual production in Los Angeles on the defensive side of the football. They're back to being a really good defense in Los Angeles now with this Rams football team, and a lot of credit must be given to Wade Phillips. It's not easy to go from a 4-3 base defense to a 3-4, make the switch, and have production. They've done that seamlessly. Guys like Connor Barwin have come in. You see a guy like Quinn make the switch from hand in the dirt to stand up outside linebacker. And again, you're still going to be in a 4-down front a lot of times in nickel because of the packages that you're going to see from various teams. But for a Saints team that loves to run the football on first and second down quite a bit, you're in your base defense. You need guys to step up. This defense has been outstanding this year. And again, hats off to Wade Phillips and his group. Hats off to the defense for getting it done against a red-hot Saints football team coming into this game as the Rams get it done 26-20. We'll come back to the Rams briefly at the end. I want to talk about the Saints quickly as their 8-game winning streak is snapped here with this 26-20 loss. It sucks that you were down 3 players. Going to have to wipe this one from the memory bank because you got an even bigger game next week at home versus the Panthers. That's going to be for first place in the division as you're now both tied at 8-3. And oh, by the way, don't look now. Don't open that door. It's the Atlanta Falcons knocking at the door at 7-4. So if you're the Saints, you don't have time to wallow and soak in misery of this loss. You've got to turn around and get it done next week at home versus the Panthers. Sweep them and take control of this division because, again, you've got 2 games still with the Falcons. You got to find a way to beat Carolina at home. So while this one stings, you've got a big one on the horizon next week, but you're hoping you can get healthy. No Alex Okafor. He's done with the season with an Achilles injury. Now you turn around. Both of your starting corners weren't playing in this game. Okay, can't cry over spilt milk. You got to hope those guys are back next week. But bottom line is there are opportunities in this game to be made, and you simply didn't take advantage of some opportunities on the defensive side of the football, some opportunities to get some stops. Gurley with some big runs and catches. That first possession, that's exactly what you didn't want to have them come out right down the field into the end zone right away. There's a 4th down that they were rolling the dice, being a little aggressive there. You'd love to see your man, Kenny Vaccaro, not go and have a pass interference, holding penalty, whatever you want to call it there in that situation. You'd like to see him be able to track. How many times did Kenny Vaccaro lose sight of the football in this game? A deep ball down the sideline to Cooper Kupp. He has no idea where the football is. It's those types of mistakes on the road that will come back and haunt you in a game like this. There are opportunities, like I said, for this team to make some plays that you simply didn't take advantage of. You'd like to see the offense be a little bit more proficient in this game. Again, with 3 key defenders down, you need the offense to step up. Ingram was a non-factor in this game. Ted Ginn Jr. wasn't one of his better performances. All you really had offensively was Michael Thomas and Alvin Kamara. Outside of those 2, you didn't get contributions from any of your players. No tight end production. No other receivers stepped up. Nobody else in the backfield. And so, again, you knew you were going to be at a disadvantage defensively coming into this game because of the injuries. You needed the offense to step up. You needed special teams to step up, for that matter. You got nothing extra by way of special teams, and you got no help really from your offense. I look at this as a 13-point performance because that last touchdown at the end that Kamara caught, that was in garbage time where the Rams were essentially saying, hey, nothing cheap, nothing deep. And it actually was pretty fast. Sort of like last week against the Redskins where you were able to score quickly in those 2-minute situations. You did it again here. But again, it was too little too late in this ball game. You needed some plays to be made when the game was still in the balance. And you got nothing in this football game from your offense. And that was pretty disappointing. I would have loved to have seen the Saints spread out this Rams football team a little bit more. I thought they were over-dedicated to the run in this game in some situations where you weren't having some success. And did you get pass happy at one point? Maybe you did. But I think that Breeze should have had a bigger say in this game because I love the matchup in the slot with Michael Thomas and their best corner in Tremaine Johnson. He was winning that matchup all day long. He was breaking them off in the slot. I would have loved to have seen them isolate that matchup a little bit more. Michael Thomas was winning in the slot. There was a pass interference to start the third quarter on Michael Thomas with Ogletree. You were winning in the slot with Michael Thomas. I would have loved to have seen the Saints take more advantage of that matchup, specifically in the slot. I thought there were more yards to be gained there. And I thought they had opportunities to do some things. Give some credit where credit is due. The Rams did some good things schematically. The Saints tried some things in the screen game. They tried to go cute with a little play with the fullback, Zach Line, getting the handoff and then pitching it out to Kamara. You tried to scheme up some things, and the Rams were waiting for it. So give credit where credit is due. They get paid too, and they made some plays, but I thought the offense wasn't good enough in this game on the road when you knew you were going to be shorthanded defensively. Speaking of your defense, I thought the defense gave you a shot in this game. All right, I thought Cam Jordan was outstanding. He was everywhere on the football field. I thought your young boys in the secondary played pretty well. Marcus Williams, I thought, gave you a shot in the arm when Kenny Vaccaro was struggling. I thought the young corners came out, and I didn't think they were terrible. Okay, were they great? No, but I didn't think they were horrible. They weren't the reason you lost this football game. And I thought, for the most part, there were some good runs in there by Todd Gurley. A lot of them came early in the game, though. I thought you did a really good job of bottling up the run game and giving yourself a chance in this game defensively. And so I felt like the defense, for all of the injuries, they came out and they competed in this game. Good to see A.J. Klein back in the lineup. I thought you gave this offense every opportunity to try to steal one on the road against a good Rams football team, and the offense simply didn't get it done. And so you fall short 26-20 on the road, snapping your 8-game winning streak, dropping to 8-3. Both teams leave this game at 8-3. If you're the Rams, next week you're on the road, tough environment. The Cardinals just get a big win at home versus Jacksonville, so they're feeling good about themselves. So you got to go on the road, tough assignment. Got to try to find a way to keep the Seahawks, who I still think are going to win that division, at bay. They're still trailing just by a single game. And again, if they sweep you, all they have to do is finish tied with you. So again, your work is not done. You cannot find a way to slip up. You've got to find a way to navigate that division. Don't step in. There are a ton of landmines set for you to step on in the division, whether it's on the road, at Arizona, at home versus San Francisco. There are a ton of landmines set for you to step on and blow up. Do not step on those landmines. The only game that if you lose will be justifiable is at Seattle, and that is a winnable game for you as well. There are more tough games to come for you this season. You have to find a way to win the ones you're supposed to win. At Arizona, no, it's not the easiest game in the world, but Blaine Gabbert is at quarterback. You got to find a way to win that game if you're the Rams. This is a big win. Nice win at home. You're 8-3. Celebrate! You're well on your way to making the postseason. First non-losing season insured since 2006. We'll see what you are able to do with some of the momentum that you have regained after the tough loss last week on the road to Minnesota, coming home and taking care of the New Orleans Saints. I told you I thought you were going to go down the stretch when you were, I think we had this conversation when you were 6-2. I said, I think you're going to go down the stretch and you're going to finish up this season. I think we might have had this conversation at 7-2, actually. And I said, you're going to finish up the season at 3-3 or 10-6, so 3-4. And I said, I can see you finishing up. And I had a couple of Rams fans say, why we got to finish up 10-6? Why can't we go 11-5? Why can't we go 12-4? Why can't you? I'm just telling you what I see. And right now, everything is played out the exact way that I've expected to. I expect you to go to lose on the road against Minnesota. I expect you to come home and beat the Rams or the Saints. You did that. We'll see what you do now on the road against the Cardinals. Very losable game. But I expect you to find a way to go there and navigate the rest of the schedule that you're supposed to take care of and take care of it. We'll see if you do that next week. Let's get to any comments that may be out there quickly before we get out of here. And we'll see what you guys have to say. Daniel the GOAT says, I'm scared of this Saints team now. And while the Rams are good this year, if you're just figuring that out, you haven't been watching football, because this Rams team, I told you when they beat the Cowboys on the road, and I know that was a long time ago, but I said that was a huge win on the road at the time when the Cowboys were actually still good. That was the win that showed me this Rams team isn't going away. This isn't a fluke season. They're not going to just be around and then have the bottom drop out of their season like Kansas City. They're going to be around, and they're going to be good this year, and you're seeing that right now. And the Rams and the Saints, you should be afraid of them. That's a good Saints football team, and we're going to see a good matchup between them and Carolina next week. I can't wait to watch that football game. Cloud says, what up, Lou? Glad the Saints loss gives us some leeway. It most certainly does. You're going to get the number 1 seed. Unless you somehow, some way struggle down the stretch, you're going to get the number 1 seed. Travis B says, good to have you back, brother. Hope you had a great Thanksgiving. I did. And I'm glad to be back. It's great to be back in the presence of you guys. Feels like it's been a while. Cloud says, seems like the Saints can be ran on. You know what that means. I think you can run the football on them. Samaje Perine, Redskins haven't had a lot of success running the football. They ran it on the Saints last week. Gurley, I thought, had some success today, 17 for 74. So they did some good things on the ground. I think you can run against the Saints. So that's something that they're going to have to shore up. But we're going to see, because that's a defense that's coming along, but I still think there's some cracks in that Saints defense for sure. And I think on the ground is one of them, most definitely. Archangel says, Rams, Eagles, Vikings all look good in the regular season. I'll give them credit, but these teams, QBs in the NFC South, have the most experience in the playoffs. I'd agree with that. And you're going to find out about these teams, if I'm not mistaken, the Falcons and Vikings lock horns next week, I think. So we're going to find out about Case Keenum down the stretch into the postseason. We're going to find out about Jared Goff, never been there. Case Keenum, never been there. A lot of these, Carson Wentz, never been there. A lot of these quarterbacks are young. That's why I'm not sold on these teams, because young quarterbacks come playoff time. That's something that you're going to have to find a way to navigate, and it's not easy in the playoffs. Cloud says they may flex the Birds and Rams game Sunday night. I've heard rumors that is something that they are planning on doing. That's something they should do, and that won't be the only game that they'll flex. Hopefully, we've got at least 2 or 3 games getting flexed into prime time, because there's some great matchups in the NFC coming down the stretch. Garrett Buckmaster says, what's your prediction on the wild card race in the NFC? Hard to say right now. It really is, because I look at the 2 teams are getting in from the South. Whether it's, you pick any combination you like. Saints, Panthers, Saints, Falcons, Panthers, Falcons, Panthers, Saints. I don't give a damn. 2 teams are getting in. I don't think all 3 are getting in. Someone's going to get left out in the cold. I don't know who it's going to be. But with that being said, I think 2 are going to get in from the NFC West as well. And so right now, as you look at the playoffs picture, there's 3 from the South, 2 from the West. That may ultimately be the way it ends up, but I think there's a possibility that you could see Detroit sneak in there in the back door. You could see one of these 5 and 6 teams get hot like the Cowboys or the Redskins. Anything's possible, but the way that it's set up right now may be the ultimate way it ends up with the 6 teams. Now, the order may not be totally, fixed the way that it'll end up in terms of who wins the division, who gets what seed, but those 6 teams may ultimately be your 6 playoff teams in the NFC with those records that we see before us right now. But anything can happen. We'll see what happens moving forward. Deshaun Draper says, what's your prediction in the ACC championship game this year? I don't know what you're talking about. Archangel says, if the Rams, Vikes, and Philly defense play really good, who knows how far those teams may go. They say defense wins championships. Now, that's correct. And I've got questions about all of their defenses. I think the best out of those three teams that you named are the Vikings. But I've got questions about all their defenses. My Redskins have played against each and every single one of those teams and moved the football against every single one of those teams. So I've got firsthand knowledge watching these teams very closely, and I feel like you can move the football on every single one of those teams' defenses. I think they all have weaknesses, and with Philly, their secondary leaves a lot to be desired. I think you can throw the football on them. With the Vikings, I think you can have some success through the air on them as well. And then with the Rams, I think there's an ability to run the football on them. The Redskins ran for over 200 yards on the Rams, and Kamara had a field day in this game on the ground, over 100 yards rushing, or I think he had over 100 yards receiving and 87 on the ground, but he had 87 on like 5 carries. Now, granted, one was like a 70-yard run, but nonetheless, I think you can run on the Rams a little bit. So I think all these teams have their deficiencies, and we'll see what happens defensively with all those teams moving forward. Daniel the GOAT says, will the Saints beat the Falcons in Week 14? I'm scared since I believe the Saints are really good this year. I don't know. Week 14 is 2 weeks away. Things can change. You saw in this game how injuries can affect your football team. I can't tell you what's going to happen in Week 14 because we still got Week 13 to play. What happens in that game? Do we have any big injuries? Do we have any big storylines coming out of those games? Hard to say what's going to happen 2 weeks from now. I don't like projecting that far down the line. We'll just have to wait and see. K. Michael says, good to have you back. I really enjoy watching the Rams play on offense and defense. I felt Watkins had an opportunity to ball out in this game, and instead it was Kupp. Is Watkins washed up? No, I don't think he's washed up. I thought he made some plays in this game. Did he explode like you were hoping? No, but he had a touchdown grab. He made some big plays in this game. There was an opportunity to make a big play late that he had knocked away, but give the defense some credit. They made plays. Cooper Kupp, there's enough weapons to go around on this football team. That's what you should be more excited about, not the fact that Watkins didn't have a 7-catch, 144-yard, 2-touchdown performance. You should be more excited about the fact that other guys stepped up in the absence of Robert Woods. That's what you should be more focused on, that one guy went out and we didn't fall the hell apart on offense. Instead, other guys stepped up, rose to the occasion, and took advantage of an opportunity to get more targets. And so you should be excited about the fact that this is a group team effort in Los Angeles with the Rams this season. And in past years when a guy that struggled or someone went down to injury, whether it was Todd Gurley or Kenny Britt, this offense went to hell in the handbasket because there were no other guys that could get it done. Garrett Buckmaster says, can't wait for Rams and Philly. Chance for the Rams to show they're for real. I think they're for real already, but you know that's a different level and caliber of opponent. And someone's got to take the Eagles down a notch. Could it be the Rams? We'll see. That's going to be a big game for sure. Archangel says, Seahawks also very dangerous with playoff experience. Yeah, but they've got a lot of injuries. I think that might be the one thing that could be the determinant with them is how do they circumvent the injuries that they have. They got a nice win against San Francisco. They were supposed to win. Those are always tough games in the division. They were able to get that one. We'll see what happens with them moving forward. Matthew Lynch says the Rams defense looked very disciplined and prepared. The Rams earned that win on both cylinders. I thought the defense was solid. I didn't think they were great in this game, but I thought they did a good job of keeping the Saints out of the end zone and eliminating the big plays. After the Kamara big touchdown run, I thought they did a great job outside of that of eliminating the big plays, not allowing the Saints to have chunk plays, explosive plays, not allowing Ingram to have an impact on this game, and not allowing anybody else, Ted Ginn Jr., to have an explosive deep ball or anything like that. I thought they did a good job of keeping everything in front of them, keeping Drew Brees to a minimum, and keeping the run game outside of that one long carry for Kamara, keeping them in check on the ground. So you do want to give credit to them defensively in this game for sure. I thought the offense was solid as well. I didn't think either one of the sides of the football was great in this game, but I thought they were good and good enough to win. Brandon Sullivan says, welcome back. Appreciate that. He says the NFC is way too tough. Did the teams just decide the normal hell in the NFC makes them go through wasn't enough or something? It seems like it this year. Just Teams are just playing great football, man. Hats off to them. Michael Sack says, no Lattimore, no Ken helped a lot. It did. You know, and anytime you get an opportunity to take advantage of a team not having both of their starting corners, you got to do that. And the Rams did that, especially early in this game when they drove it right down the field. Jared Goff over 300 yards passing, again, speaks to no Lattimore and no Ken Crawley in this game. So you got to take advantage of the other team's weakness. They don't have their starting corners. Not your problem. Go out and exploit that. And again, I thought the Saints backups came in and they weren't terrible. So it could have been a lot worse without both of your starting corners. I know some teams in this league that fall the hell apart with no starting corners in the lineup. Thought the Saints defensively did enough to allow their team to hang around in this ball game. They didn't make enough plays offensively, if you ask me, outside of Kamara and Michael Thomas in the pass game. Garrett Buckmaster says, do you think McVay gets too pass happy with his play calling at times? Sure. He did that in Washington at times. He's a guy that wants to throw the football, and he'll use the short passing game as an extension. I thought in this game particularly, I thought they went over the top to try to get Tavon Austin, something I haven't seen from them this season. They went over the top trying to get Tavon Austin involved. I thought almost too much to a degree, and I thought it was to a default, almost to a fault, I should say, because he was losing yards on his plays, big yardage, and they threw him a bubble screen, and they got him the football in the backfield a couple of times, and it just wasn't working. And I thought Gurley was having some success on the ground. I thought they could have run. He even admitted himself at halftime, yeah, I got a little pass happy there, probably need to run a little bit more. So, yeah, he did that in Washington. That's been his MO. I told you when you got him, it's probably going to be 60-40 pass-to-run ratio, and so he can do that from time to time, but in any event, it was enough to get the win. Archangel says, would you consider the Lions to be a scary team if they slide into the playoffs? Once you get in, especially in the NFC, all bets are off. The AFC, to me, I pretty much know the AFC Championship game is going to be New England, Pittsburgh. Where that game is going to take place, we don't know yet. Okay? But in the NFC, all bets are off. Anybody can get it anywhere at any time. All you got to do is get in the NFC. Anybody can beat anybody. So we'll see what happens. I see you, Lucrecio, man. What's going on? Cloud says, remember when you asked if the Kansas City Chiefs will go down in the 2016 Eagles-Vikings road this season? Seems like they are now. The only difference is that the AFC is weak as hell. Yeah, I remember. Somebody asked, and I said, nah, they're a good football team. They're not going to implode. They're imploding right before our very eyes. They're now 6-5. And I'm begging the Chargers, come take that goddamn division for them. They don't want it. Please. Come take that damn division from their ass. Reby says, good to have you back. Our defense is getting better and better. No TD scores in the last 2 games. Our D is getting scores as well. Our secondary has been playing okay and getting better. It is getting better, but it does help when you play the Cowboys with no Zeke Elliott and the Chicago Bears, who are absolutely dreadful with a rookie quarterback on offense. So that does help your defense a lot, but make no mistake about it, you still got to go out and make the plays, and the defense for the Eagles has been doing exactly that. It's going to do it for your man Louie T here on Lockdown Coverage. I'll be back at the halftime point of Steelers and Packers to break down Patriots and Dolphins. And then at the end of Sunday Night Football, come back here and join me for Sunday Night Football overtime. We expect the Steelers to destroy the Packers. Brett Hundley has been a joke in the absence of A-Rod, and those are huge shoes to fill, but he hasn't even stepped into those shoes at all. And so it looks like he's wearing about a size 6, and Aaron Rodgers is about a size 13. He's not even coming close. So I expect the Steelers to handle business, sort of like what they did on Thursday Night Football versus the Titans. This one could get ugly. Let's hope it doesn't get ugly until around midway through the 3rd, maybe into the 4th. But we'll see how long the Packers are able to hang on before the Steelers start imposing their will on Sunday night. In any event, enjoy the game. Rams get the victory, 26-20 over the Saints. Both teams lead this game at 8-3. Two teams both playing huge games in the division. Saints, huge showdown at home versus the Panthers. First place on the line, NFC South. Meanwhile, Rams go on the road to take on the Cardinals to remain atop the NFC West division. I'll see you guys a little bit later on. Enjoy the Sunday night game. Join me back here at halftime for more Lockdown Coverage. And then following that, for Sunday Night Football Overtime. I'm your man, Louie T, signing off. See you then. Thanks for joining me.